Well, the money that the city will make off all those efforts will certainly help offset some of the costs that the city has incurred this winter. There have been a lot of problems, not only snow-related and weather-related, but also with the Corporate Plaza. Now, everything appears to be on schedule, on time, and that should help. They want to get this done as soon as possible. So some of the businesses here along Hamilton Mall can reopen for business. They're hoping to do a booming business today with some sales, with all the spectators that have come to watch this implosion. So that's the scene here from 7th and Hamilton. Rob, how do things look up your way?
Well, it's been incredible up here, a booming business. I knew you were going to say something to that effect, Newlin. Up here, there are lots of reporters, and across the way, you should hear the hooping and hollering on the Hess's parking garage a couple of blocks to our west. They have people lining the decks over there, and I wouldn't be surprised if they have a wave going. And there we see some folks over on the parking garage at Hess's, where people are there in droves to watch the implosion, which is now just a few minutes away. The dynamite was put in place on Thursday. We want to show you some tape of what happened when they installed the dynamite and got the charges all ready to go. Let's take a look at that.
The pictures come courtesy of Central Salvage Company and American Demolition. They hired Apple Productions of Bethlehem to go into the leaning, crumbling building, and the video was made available to Channel 69 News. These pictures you'll see come from the first floor and the basement of the building, and they were taken on Thursday. The demolition workers have their explosive charges and wiring ready to go. Implosion expert Jim Redike of Oklahoma is leader of this crew. He's brought down buildings around the U.S. and in other countries. This one's a special challenge since it's over a gaping sinkhole, but Central Salvage Company says Redike, whom they call the shooter, knows exactly what he's doing. As you know, it's not an explosion, but an implosion we're talking about here. The idea is to bring the whole building down in on itself. Now, explosions will be used in there in a very carefully controlled way. They will sever the supports inside the center of the building and then allow gravity to go to work. Gravity will start pulling the whole thing straight down. Workers attach the explosive charges to vertical beams. The charges will slice through the beams at just the right time and angle, allowing gravity to start pulling the building straight down. The imploders won't reveal all the beams they're targeting or the exact timing of the explosions because those are trade secrets. When the button is pushed at center square, the timed blasts will begin, wiping out the supports and dropping the building in a cloud of dust and leaving a stack of debris about 2 stories high. Now, we've been told the building is every bit as precarious as it looks, but apparently it's stable enough for workers on Thursday to do this. The workers didn't even appear to be holding their breath. They just calmly made their attachments and wired their wires. The building's special challenges for the Dicon blasters include the small distance between the plaza and the buildings next door to it, the crushed northwest corner that collapsed further after the original cave-in, and, of course, because of the big sinkhole underneath. That underground cavern will catch some of the debris that comes crashing down, but whether the sinkhole will shift or worsen, no one knows for sure. We'll certainly see a huge pile of junk left on the site after the dust clears, and workers will be clearing the junk away for quite a long time. On Thursday, when the pictures inside the building were shot, outside it was a beautiful day. Some fire crews were on the scene and a cherry picker looking the building over. The sun was providing some flashes in the broken windows on the building as if to give us a preview of the destructive flashes we expect to see when the button is pushed on center square.
And speaking of Center Square, Newlin Archinal is at Center Square right now with the gentleman who will push that button. Newlin?
That's right. Joining me now is Steve Pukshin, and you won the right to push the button. How did you find out?
Well, my wife called me. I was working at the Hesse South Wine and Spirits shop, and she said, Steve, the mayor just called. I said, I think you wanted to join. And she gave me a phone number, and I called Mayor Height back, and he said, sure enough, are you ready to blow up a building or implode a building? I said, sure, why not? And
are you...
Go ahead.
Are you a little nervous?
No, not really.
That the fate of this building rests in your hands, that doesn't bother you?
Well, no, because it's those guys that put the dynamite charges that rest in their hands. So I'm just going to press the old button.
Did you ever imagine you'd do something like this?
Never in my lifetime, no. But I had a feeling I was going to win the drawing. I don't know why, I just did. So here I am.
Well, good luck today. Thanks for joining us, Steve. So that's about it. I'm looking at the clock here. It looks like we've got about 4 minutes until the big moment. So we should start to hear some sirens pretty soon. The fire chief was out, and he's going to set off the sirens, the 3-minute siren, then the waiting period, then the countdown. So we're all anxiously awaiting and trying to keep warm down here on the ground at 7th and Hamilton. A lot of workers have lined up. They're going to actually be talking, or rather shielding themselves from a wall right behind them. They'll all step behind that, behind the monument here at 7th and Hamilton. About 3 dozen workers right now, all wearing hard hats. That's to keep themselves protected from any sort of falling debris when the Corporate Plaza caves in and implodes. So that's the scene right now here from 7th and Hamilton as we wait anxiously for the big bang. Rob, you've got the best seat in the house. Here on the ground, we're not going to be able to see much. How do things look there?
Well, kind of anxious about the fact that I've got the best seat in the house because this thing is right in our face. It really does seem close. It's a half a block away, and we're going to have a great view. In fact, the fire chief, who's been up here also on top of the parking deck, has told us to be ready to duck down. There may be some flying rivets or debris of some kind coming in our direction pretty quick after those charges go off in there. So we're ready and waiting, and I'm prepared to duck down behind a wall that's about 3 feet tall here. Actually, all of us, all the dozen or more TV cameras along this wall are standing on an ice pack, so it doesn't make our footing any better. If we're going to feel some shock wave coming over the wall, we're going to be standing on ice as we receive that shock wave. So as you see all the reporters there are national media here, people from markets closer to the Allentown area. There are at least 3 helicopters now hovering over the area. They are just a bit to the north and east of the building, keeping a pretty good distance, as you might imagine, because when the blast does go, there will be a concussive effect straight up and off to the sides. The straight up is what they were concerned about. Had there been a low cloud ceiling, they wouldn't have been able to do it because the straight up shock wave would have bounced off the cloud ceiling and come right back down. I think the time when we were showing you a clock a few minutes ago, it's going to be quite approximate because the fire chief who'd been up here a few minutes ago said, contrary to what we heard earlier, as far as I understand it, that we would hear fire trucks giving some blasts at 5 minutes before we'd have the implosion. And now we are coming up on 8:59 by my watch, and we have not heard any of those sirens yet. So we'll be waiting and seeing and taking it easy here and waiting for the word from the sound from the sirens to come up here. Once the sirens go, there will be a few more minutes, and then there will be on the PA system a countdown that we can hear. And of course, we'll be able to show you that Steve Pookson will be able to hit that toggle switch. Let's take a look now at the toggle switch, in fact, that we are talking about. This is our camera from Center Square. We're looking at the toggle switch device that Steve Pookson is going to be throwing in just a few minutes. They're getting it all ready. They're behind the monument, these soldiers and senators' monument on Center Square. And they are ready, Mayor Hite told me, to duck down behind the monument base when the switch is hit, because they're not quite sure, of course, how much of the effect they will feel there at the monument, which is, again, about a half block down from Corporate Plaza. So that's the device all ready to go as far as we know. And Steve Pookson, who said he felt like he was going to win the drawing. He didn't know why, but he felt like he was going to win. And, in fact, he did win the drawing, and he was notified. And there we go. You can hear a siren being set off now. 3 minutes? Okay, I just got the word. Chief Novosad is right here. He says that means 3 minutes to go. 3 minutes to the implosion at Corporate Plaza. These sirens are going to run a little bit now, but we have started apparently our 3-minute countdown, approximately. We'll see the Corporate Plaza building get ready to go there. We are expecting that we will feel quite an effect up here, and of course the whole area has been cordoned off. There are people on the